When I took the microphone in front of 200 people at my wedding, everyone expected a happy speech. But when I played the audio recording I had in my hand, and my best friend's voice echoed through the hall, the atmosphere turned ice cold. Hi, I'm Sarah Mitchell, and today I'm going to tell you how the most important day of my life turned into a nightmare. But the ending of this story turned out in a way you could never imagine. It all started in Chicago, in that magnificent ballroom on Lake Shore Drive. Getting married at the Palmer House Hilton was every young girl's dream. Crystal chandeliers, marble columns, and the most beautiful view of the city. We had been planning this moment for 3 years with my fiancé, James Thompson. James was the heir and future partner of the city's most prestigious law firm, Thompson and Associates. Handsome, successful, and he had played the perfect boyfriend since we met at Northwestern University. He seemed like every woman's dream man. And Emily Carter, Emily, she had been my closest friend since high school. We studied together at University of Michigan, moved to Chicago together, and built our dreams together. She was going to be my maid of honor. We had planned every detail of my wedding together. The thing I'll never forget was the look in Emily's eyes when she first met James. Something sparkled in her eyes, but at the time I thought it was happiness for my friend. I would realize too late how wrong I was. 3 months before the wedding, Emily's behavior started to change. She was constantly busy with her phone, secretly texting. She would say, "I'm talking to someone from work," but it seemed strange for someone working at a marketing company to have business conversation at midnight. One day, while having coffee at Emily's house, she left her phone on the table and went to the bathroom. When the phone rang, I saw J Love written on the screen. This was James's phone number because I had the same number saved in my phone, but the way I saved it was James' heart. My heart started beating wildly. Why was my fiancé's number saved with a special symbol in Emily's phone? The phone stopped ringing, but a few minutes later a message notification came. The screen read, "Are you with Sarah? Be careful not to make her suspicious." At that moment, my world collapsed. My hands were shaking. I couldn't breathe. When Emily came out of the bathroom, I tried to act like nothing had happened. "Your phone rang. I didn't answer it," I said, trying not to let my voice tremble. "Oh, probably someone from work," Emily said, as she took her phone and checked the messages. I watched the expression on her face. I noticed a momentary panic. Then she immediately tried to normalize. That night at home, I started asking James questions. When I asked, "How often do you talk to Emily?" he said, "Just about wedding preparations, you know," but he wasn't looking into my eyes. The doubt inside me grew day by day. I started following them. Emily's so-called business dinners were actually meetings with James. I saw them at the Purple Pig, then at Alinea, and then at James' apartment in River North. But I needed proof. Doubt alone wasn't enough. I researched online and found a small device that could secretly record audio. I put it in Emily's bag. Was it ethical? Number. But it's hard to talk about morality when you're being cheated on. The recording device worked a week later. On the day Emily thought we were going to meet, she actually met James at Millennium Park. The recording I got contained conversations that would turn my life upside down. Emily's voice. "James, I can't stand it anymore. I can't keep lying to Sarah." James's voice. "Just be patient a little longer. Everything will be different after the wedding." Sarah's family is very rich. If I win the divorce case, I'll get good money. Emily: Are you doing this for money? Not because you love me? James: Of course I love you, Em. But Sarah is so naive. If we don't use this situation, we'd be stupid. Her family owns one of Chicago's biggest real estate empires. Emily: What will we do after the wedding? James: I'll file for divorce 6 months later. I'll claim adultery. You'll even testify in favor. You'll say that Sarah cheated on you. Emily: This is too complicated, James. James: Don't worry, I'm a lawyer. I know how to do it. We'll get a good share from Sarah's inheritance. I was crying while listening to the recording, but at the same time I was burning with anger. They weren't just cheating on me, they were also planning to steal my money. Emily was my closest friend and she was part of this plan. The wedding was a week away. I thought about canceling it, but then I had a better idea. I would teach them a lesson they would never forget. First, I called my father's lawyer, Robert Steinberg. I explained the situation to him and said I wanted to change the prenuptial agreement. We prepared the contract so that if James cheated on me, he couldn't get anything. Second, I talked to the wedding organizer, Amanda. I told her I had a special surprise at the wedding, that I would take the microphone and play a special audio recording connected to the music system. Third, I arranged one last meeting with Emily. I had secretly put another audio recording device on her. This time she said even worse things. Doesn't Sarah really suspect us? I asked Emily. No, honey, she's so naive, she has no idea about anything. James and I thought it wouldn't be this easy, but Sarah is really such a trusting type. Sometimes I feel sorry for her, but what we're doing is for her own good. James can't be happy with someone as boring as her. I recorded this conversation too. Now I was ready for the wedding day. The wedding morning at Palmer House, Hilton, was a day I'll never forget. It was one of Chicago's most beautiful October days. The leaves were colorful. Between orange and red, the sky was azure blue. While getting ready in my bridal room, Emily was with me. She looked constantly nervous. When I asked, "Is everything okay, Em?" she said, "Yes, just wedding excitement." "I hope James is happy," I said, watching her eyes. "Of course he's happy. This is your most beautiful day, Sarah," she said, but her eyes were looking down. The wedding ceremony was magnificent. James looked very handsome. While reading our vows, I wanted to see love in his eyes, but I already knew this was acting. When the priest said, "Sarah Mitchell, do you accept him as your husband and promise to be faithful to him?" I said yes, but inside I was thinking, will you be faithful? While taking wedding photos, Emily was constantly looking at James. Even the photographer commented, "It is so sweet that the maid of honor looks at the groom." If he knew the truth. When the evening reception started, Palmer House's grand ballroom was like a fairy tale. 200 guests were dancing under crystal chandeliers. Chicago's elite society was here in their most beautiful clothes. After the dinner service ended, the speeches section began. First, my father spoke, then James's father, then the best man, Marcus. When it was my turn, I started to get up. Emily said in surprise, "You said you wouldn't give a speech." "I changed my mind," I said with a smile. When I took the microphone, the hall fell silent. Everyone expected a happy bride speech. "My dear family, friends and guests," I began. "It means so much to me to be with you on this special day. I'm especially happy that my closest friend Emily is here." I looked at Emily. She was smiling forcedly. Marriage is an institution built on trust, I continued. And today I want to share with you how important trust is. When I looked at James, he had frowned. He was starting to sense that something was going wrong. Sometimes even our closest people can disappoint us, I said. That's why I want to share something special with you. When I took out my phone and connected it to the sound system, the hall became completely silent. This is a conversation recorded last week, I said, and pressed play. James's voice echoed throughout the hall. Sarah is so naive. If we don't use this situation, we'd be stupid. Her family owns one of Chicago's biggest real estate empires. Emily's face turned white. James jumped up. Sarah, what is this? Stop that, he shouted. But the recording continued. Emily's voice. What will we do after the wedding? James's voice. I'll file for divorce 6 months later. The hall started to get chaotic. People were looking at each other, whispering. James's mother stood up. What does this mean? She shouted. I stopped the recording and spoke into the microphone again. As you can see, my husband and my closest friend have been cheating on me for 3 months. But worse, they're planning to steal my inheritance. Emily started crying. Sarah, please, this is a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I spoke into the microphone again. Then let's listen to this conversation I recorded last night too. I played the second recording. Emily's voice. Doesn't Sarah really suspect us? She's so naive, she has no idea about anything. This time the hall became completely silent. Everyone was shocked. James started walking towards me, but my father and uncle blocked him. Sarah, this marriage is invalid, James shouted. We can't continue after this. I started laughing. You're right, James. This marriage is invalid, but only for you. I took out a copy of the prenuptial agreement from my bag. Here's the prenuptial agreement I signed with my lawyer this morning. If you cheat on me, you won't get a penny from my inheritance, and these recordings are proof of adultery. James's face turned ashen. This isn't legal. This marriage is annulled. Of course it's annulled, James, but only for you. I already knew this marriage would end. You would have known too if you had listened to me. My lawyer, Robert Steinberg, stood up. Mr. Thompson, the prenuptial agreement is completely legal, and these recordings can be used as evidence in court. Emily was still crying. Sarah, please forgive me. Just what, Emily? Did you just sell your closest friend? Did you just throw our 12-year friendship in the trash? James's mother, Margaret Thompson, approached me. Sarah, my son acted foolishly, but... Mrs. Thompson, I cut her off. Your son didn't just act foolishly. He cheated on me, tried to steal my money, and involved my closest friend in this plan. This isn't just foolishness, it's fraud. The hall was completely chaotic. Guests started getting up and leaving. Nobody knew what to do. James made one last effort. Sarah, tonight is our wedding night. We can't continue normally after this, but... Wedding night, I laughed. James, this marriage lasted exactly 3 hours and 47 minutes, and these were the most beautiful 3 hours of my life because I was finally able to show everyone your true face. Emily's mother, Carol, came to me. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I never thought Emily would do such a thing. Mrs. Carter, I'm not angry with you, but I'm very upset that Emily treated our 12-year friendship like this. That night, I stayed alone at Palmer House. I sat in the hotel bar in my wedding dress and watched the city view of Chicago. The waiter, Kevin, approached me. Madam, this must have been a very difficult night. Can I offer you something? Champagne, please, Kevin. I know that this is the best night of my life. Really, madam? Yes, because today I was saved from spending a lifetime with two traitors. The next morning, I was the headline in the Chicago Tribune, Chicago's most expensive wedding scandal. But I didn't care. I had learned the truth and I was free. James tried to file for divorce, but lawyers told him it was impossible. The prenuptial agreement was ironclad. Emily tried to call me for months. I read the messages but never replied. Some betrayals are unforgivable. 6 months later, James was trying to find another company because his father had fired him from the firm. Emily also had to leave Chicago because nobody trusted her anymore. As for me, I started my own marketing company. Mitchell and Associates is now one of Chicago's most successful marketing firms. Last month, I ran into my old college friend David Miller. He had always been a good person, but at the time I had overlooked him in the face of James's charisma. Sarah, I heard about what happened that night. It was a very brave thing to do, David said. Sometimes we have to be brave, David. When you learn the truth, staying silent is the worst option. Now I'm building a new life with David, this time a life built on real love. Emily sent me a letter last week. It said, "Forgive me." But some things can't be taken back. Once trust is broken, it's impossible to repair. As for James, he's now working at a small law firm. I heard that what happened that night is still being talked about in legal circles. In conclusion, when I took the microphone at Palmer House that night, I hadn't just ended a wedding. I had dropped the masks of two fake people. And that was the best thing I ever did in my life. Because sometimes telling the truth is the greatest revenge.